They laughed first, a ring of silver voices, curious eyes like moons, and scanners that spat numbers instead of pity. The aliens mocked her sword, like it was an antique toy, a scrap of Earth's past. But one small human stood between ridicule and consequence. An 11-year-old girl with a samurai blade and a steady jaw. When the blade sang, it was not the steel that taught the lesson. It was the way she carried history, courage, and a challenge the galaxy hadn't expected. What happens when the universe underestimates a child? If you like smart, surprising HFY stories that flip expectations, hit like and subscribe. We drop one like this every week. Tell a friend who loves sci-fi with Byte. Stick around. The world you think you know about humans is about to get a new chapter. The docking bay shimmered with cold blue light as the human delegation stepped onto the station. Every movement echoed in the metallic chamber, watched by towering alien diplomats with glassy eyes and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Humans came prepared with cultural gifts, objects meant to bridge distance between species. Among them rested a simple wooden box, carried gently by an 11-year-old girl named Hana Kim. When the box opened, the room fell strangely quiet. Inside lay a samurai sword, polished steel, deep black handle wrap, a history older than most star systems. But then came the laughter, soft at first, then spreading through the alien ranks like a wave. A metal strip, primitive weaponry? One sneered, their translator adding a mocking flicker. Another tapped its device, projecting the sword's material breakdown. Iron, carbon, negligible value. The implication was clear. Outdated, useless, laughable. Human diplomats stiffened. They'd hoped for respect, not ridicule. Some tried to intervene with calm explanations, but the aliens kept chuckling, amused by humanity's sentimentality. Only one person didn't flinch. Hana watched them with a steady, unreadable gaze, one hand resting lightly on the sheath. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't afraid. She was waiting for the moment they finally asked the wrong question. Hana Kim didn't look like the kind of child who carried a centuries-old weapon. Barely reaching the adult's shoulders, she had quiet eyes that noticed everything, and a calm that unsettled even grown soldiers. Most people assumed she was just along for the diplomatic journey, a guest, a curious observer. They were wrong. Back at home, Hannah's mornings began before sunrise. While other children scrolled through games or cartoons, she trained in the courtyard with her grandfather, a retired historian who treated the sword not as a weapon, but as a conversation with the past. He taught her balance, patience, and the idea that strength wasn't always force. Sometimes it was understanding. As she grew, Hana learned stories that shaped her view of the universe. Tales of warriors who fought with honor, not anger. Of people who stood firm even when mocked. She memorized every lesson, carrying them like invisible armor. So when the aliens called the sword primitive, something stirred inside her. Not anger, but a sense of responsibility. Let them laugh, she thought. They only saw metal. They didn't see memory. They didn't see meaning. And they certainly didn't see what she was capable of when pushed. The laughter in the chamber finally settled into a smug silence. One alien diplomat leaned forward, his shimmering skin pulsing with amusement. "Tell us, little human," he said, "why cling to such outdated toys?" Hana stepped forward, unhurried. Her small fingers wrapped around the sheath, lifting the sword with surprising steadiness. "You think it's just metal," she said softly, "but you never asked what it means." With a smooth motion, she drew the blade. The sound wasn't too loud, just a whisper of steel leaving its home. Yet it cut through the room more sharply than any shout. Even the station's air regulators seemed to pause. The aliens scanned it again, confused by the lack of energy signature. No plasma, no circuitry, no technological reason for power. Exactly why they dismissed it, and exactly why her next words held weight. This sword isn't about destruction, Hana continued. It's about discipline, precision, history. 1,000 years of humans learning how to turn fear into control. Then she performed one slow, deliberate kata, a single arc of motion so clean, so mathematically flawless, that even the alien's optical sensors stuttered to keep up. Somewhere in the crowd, the mockery cracked. Curiosity took its place. The alien envoy, no longer amused, narrowed his eyes. A performance, he said. Pretty, but meaningless in real conflict. His words carried the quiet arrogance of someone who had never been challenged by a species smaller than him. Hana didn't blink. Then let's test meaning, she replied. She placed the sword gently on the table, blade angled away, a gesture of respect, not submission. No combat, she added, just understanding. You claimed superiority. Prove it with logic. The aliens exchanged looks. A challenge from a child? Ridiculous. Yet something in her tone pulled them in. The envoy activated a holographic puzzle, a strategy simulation used in their military academies. Solve this, he said. Sure she'd fail. Hana studied the shifting patterns. Her grandfather's lessons echoed. A warrior first wins in the mind. She didn't chase the obvious paths. She traced the negative space, the hidden moves between moves. Then, with a calm breath, she chose a route no alien cadet ever had. The simulation froze, then recalculated, then declared, optimal path achieved. A ripple went through the crowd, confusion and surprise. The alien envoy leaned back, unsettled. How did you see that? Hana shrugged lightly. You weren't looking. Silence settled over the chamber, but it wasn't the silence of mockery anymore. It was the kind that follows a shifted worldview. Fragile, heavy, undeniable. The alien envoy watched the girl, the simulation still glowing behind her, proof that a human child had cracked a puzzle their elite struggled with. Hana sheathed her sword with a soft click. You laughed because you thought humans were weak, she said. But strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's small. Sometimes it's 11 years old. The aliens stood straighter, their colors shifting into a hue humans had learned to read as respect. One diplomat stepped forward. We misjudged your people, he admitted, and perhaps ourselves. It wasn't a dramatic apology. It didn't need to be. The shift in tone said enough. Word of the encounter spread across the station within hours. By the end of the week, it reached other star systems. And before long, stories twisted into legend, not about a sword or even a demonstration, but about a child who carried history like a blade and clarity like a shield. Somewhere in the galaxy, a new phrase began circulating among alien strategists. Never underestimate a human, especially the small ones.